Just like every year, you go to a boutique and maybe you want a suit or a dress. And there are three possibilities as you enter. It may fit perfectly, it may be oversized, or it may be too tiny. And that is the thing with leadership. At times, when you take on leadership as a class leader, a group leader, a dormitory leader, or any other thing in school, it may fit or may not fit rightly. Today, we have a topic that will give you an insight on such a thing. The topic is taking leadership, the art of student leadership. With me is a guest, a man of all seasons, Mr. Calvin Kavumba. You are most welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. So today we will be discussing about leadership, but then I will ask you to introduce yourself in 1 or 2, 3 words.
Hello viewers, Calvin Ahumza Kavumba is my name. I am a leader, like Shadiq has mentioned. I have been a student leader before. I am currently a student leader. I have served in different roles. Most important of those is one head prefect at Mount St. Henry's High School, Mukono, and currently Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs at Islamic University in Uganda. Outside university, I am the team leader at Summit Protocol Services and Events, where we deal with different services that regard event planning, ushering, and VIP handling. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. So, as we have said, that we shall be knowing the cost and implication of being a student leader in today's evolving world. So, Mr. Calvin Kavumba, I want you to help me understand how you would define good student leadership and some of its doctrines.
Thank you so much, Shadiq, for that question. Good student leadership, in my perception, as a former student leader or as a student leader, is servant leadership. Holding on to power or holding power will come with a lot of privileges, will come with a lot of things that favor you as a leader. But the way you will understand that you are serving your society, your community right, is not by people just calling you head prefect, guild president, head boy, whatsoever. The best way for you to serve the people you are entrusted to serve is when you serve them in a servant manner. That is what the Bible teaches, because I am a Christian. The Bible says that he who wants to be a leader should serve the rest. Student leadership should involve you instilling values you feel matter to you to other people. Share with them those things that matter to you. Personally, integrity matters to me so much. It is very disturbing in a country where we work on nation building if we do not value integrity. So as a student leader, I have always valued sharing integrity or instilling integrity within the people that I lead. So integrity, among very many other values, would be what I share and what I value as a student leader. Going back to servant leadership, do not impose on people things you don't want imposed on you. Act when you are forcing others to act. Share the responsibility in society. Do not just lead people, go with them the way you want them to go. Yeah.
That is really fruitful. Then I would also want to ask that what are some of the approaches of student leadership that can be applied in school and maybe help us rate that effectiveness?
One of the first of all, you have to think about what you are leaving, the indelible mark you're leaving on the lives of the people you are leading. So transformational leadership is the first key or the first approach you have to take. Do not just lead people anyhow. Instill something in them. Instill a culture that will stay with them. Instill something that they're going to remember about your leadership. And the other, much as it would sound very political, it is transactional leadership. Let people know that when I do this, I am getting this. If it is a bad thing, I am getting a punishment. If it is a good thing, I am getting a reward. Transactional leadership motivates our followers or the people that come after us, and also it will make your leadership time easier. When people know that there is a consequence to my misbehavior for my misconduct, it's going to guide how they act. It may not be fully operational, but it is going to solve for you some things that you're not going to be able to solve without that transaction. And even if there is a reward, for example, in the school I attended, Mount St. Henry's, if students sang well, they could get a reward. If students maybe performed well, they could get a reward. So that is what motivates people. They will do things even without your very much input. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And then something that is true, it is universal truth. We know that leadership is not a bed of roses. Leadership can be challenging. So I want us to help us understand some of the challenges that a coming leader or a serving leader is most likely to grapple with in school, a school setting.
School leadership comes with a lot of challenges that are undeniable most of the cases. One of the key issues you will face, personally, I am male chauvinistic. I believe in men more than ladies. So you will find a lot of fault in ladies, definitely. So there will always be a gender bias. You think girls are lazy, you think they are doing this in a wrong way. It is a challenge to you because it is going to cause resistance from the girls towards you. And until you solve that gender bias, you may find leadership on the girl's side harder. And it happens either way. If it is a female, they may be too feministic and they believe men can do nothing in the society. That is one of the challenges. Yes, it goes two way. It goes two way. The other that I believe is now becoming cliche is balancing leadership and academics. That one has been mentioned a lot of times, but it's not just mythical, it is a fact. It is a fact. We have leaders that we succeeded that failed to balance both. They were very good leaders, very good, they are known. But when we talk about their academic excellence, we cannot bring something out. And if any leader wants to approach leadership the most correct way, you should not be the leader they are going to start defending in academic meetings. Oh, now that is our head boy, he should not be sent to Center X. That is our head boy, he should not be punished at the academic assembly. That is our head boy, but he got 3 points, but we should not release his results in public. You should fight to balance. I struggled to balance my academics, but it always paid off. In the wee hours of the night, I always went to my office and sat down and read books the whole night. But in the morning, you find me on the compound and I believe I do not read anything. But I was never the last. When you go to the books, to the assessment sheets, you will find my name top 10. But I was head prefect and one of the most hard names. Even today, I am not in that school, but I know. Everyone knows that I existed. So balancing leadership and academics may be a very, very difficult challenge, but it is something that you can deal with. The other is peer resistance. You know, before we assume leadership, we are friends with some people. Now, those friends may not want to carry the values you want to carry when you become a leader. And that may become a big challenge for you when you are in leadership. Because these people are going to, if you're not emotionally sound, you're going to feel like, I should not punish this one. I should not make them follow the way. They will come out of dormitory without putting on uniform and you want to overlook it. But these are the people in your influence. They should follow your modus operandi of leadership first. If they do not follow, the rest of the crowds that watch them are not going to follow. So you must deal with how your closer circles deal with how you lead. If you do not, they are not friends worth keeping for the success of your leadership. You should first lay them off. When they learn to fit in, they should return. Yes, thank you.
So you've spoken of very many things, but I expected you to speak about things like interference from maybe the people that are in charge of the cabinet, the patrons.
Mm.
A patron may be there, but then when it comes to prefectorial meetings, he comes with his orders. Like everything is maybe run in a prefectorial body by the topmost, by the patron. Yeah.
That is absurd if it happens. In my reign, I led for the longest time in that institution.
Yeah.
3 years. I am the longest serving leader.
How comes? I
led 3 years.
I thought serving as a head prefect, you may be leading Form 5, and then Form 6 someone comes on.
I was unlucky to be in the COVID year. And when I started in 2019, my tenure started in 2019. I think it was about 16th June there. And it lasted 2020 and 2021. And all those years I was in active leadership. Actually, I handed over to the next chief judge 1 week to UNEP. 1 week to UNEP.
That's quite unique.
Yes, that is when I handed over. But it is absurd if the students you have trusted to lead their fellow students are not empowered. You know, it is very important for you to empower people to lead. That is when you get the best out of them. Even if it is a photographer or a designer, if you impose on them what you want them to produce, they may not give you the best. But if you allow them to use their creativity, they are going to give you the best. When I assumed leadership, I was a visionary. I knew what I wanted. I knew how I wanted my reign to go. And in that whole time, my patron allowed me to lead. He did. There is a time my patron was away. For close to months, 9, 10, I had no patron. And I led that institution. And no one could notice that we have no patron. Wow. No one did. So when you leave learners or students to take over what they are doing properly, they are going to become better day after another. I used to call my inner people. We have a team called the Top 7. I used to call them to what we call in-house meetings. Those ones, we take off the ties, we take off the jackets and fight. Not physical exchange, but we say, you did this, you did. And after those 3 hours, 2 hours of that informal meeting, everyone has gone back to their senses, and we are going to go and create a lot of good work. I even reached a point of downsizing. I had the power to demote my leaders. I did not keep anyone that was lagging my team behind. No. By the time I handed over, I had demoted close to 10 people. I don't like ending the regime without the people I started with, but you cannot keep on my team when you're lagging behind. Anyone that could not keep up the speed, because I had empowered everyone to have the same power. So anyone that did not have the energy, the muscle, and did not follow the values, I let them go so that the team progresses. Yeah. The other challenge that is easy to find, or that it may be unavoidable in school leadership, is funding. Funding in school leadership is usually very limited. Even at university level, you will find that your budget is under-financed. For example, if you are given 100 million to run a guild for a whole year, that is very little money to run a university of about 20,000 students, because there are fees that are supposed to cater for the cabinet itself, and that goes to close to a quarter or 2 quarters of the budget. Now, what is going to be used to finance the rest of the activities if the budget is that small? Even when we go back to our school levels, you may, because we had an internal financing system called Prefects Bag, it could help us on a lot of things. Personally, that money helped me to organize my team very well. They never missed a meal. They had decent cups, decent plates, decent percolators. The office was well maintained, and those people's welfare was proper. And our meetings always had something to eat, something to drink. It was lively, but it may not be the case everywhere. In some schools, there will be schools where you need to go for training somewhere, or you need to go for a conference, and you don't even have the money to pay for the prefect for that conference. which is absurd because much as the learners may be gifted, the students may be gifted, they need to be trained in leadership. They need to learn from other people. And if they do not get the opportunity because of funding, it is an absurdity to me. Then the other challenge is burnout, mental health issues. That office is hot. I held that office for 3 years. I consider myself a hero. Because it is exhausting to have the management of 2,000 students under your hands. Because with the presence of a vibrant prefect system, the teachers may ignore some of the responsibilities, and they are going to all rest on your shoulder. And you may be unlucky that out of a team of 33 prefects or more, you have only 5 that are working properly well. So you're going to burn out. All the people that are active are going to feel overwhelmed over time, and it is going to result into mental health issues. These people are going to feel like they can't handle academics. Now you're stressing them. I want a report. I want this. Go and supervise this. Go and do this. Go and attend meetings. It is going to become tiresome. There are people that are not built for that type of struggle, and every time you expose them to such, they are going to burn out. For some of us that are gifted, we will handle, we will always, but it is not everyone. So these prefects must be cancelled, must be taken for recreational activities. Take them for dinners, take them for outings. After some time, do not allow them to just burn into that work. They are not paid to do it.
So
Yes.
beyond those remedies that you've spoken about, then I want us to actually explore the other side, that we have the challenges in place. Then what are the solutions for maybe the first problems that you actually spoke about?
Let me start with the most recurrent, mental health. Peer support is very, very important. Let these learners have networks within them, the student leaders, that allow them to share these issues. Don't just allow them to soak into school business. Every meeting they are being stretched, this, that, you didn't get a report, this one was expelled, this one was this, mass, peeling, what, all those things, football, events, it is going to become tiresome. Please allow them to share their experiences, allow them to enjoy. Then, gender biases. Gender biases will be solved by inclusivity. That is why we have a head boy and a head girl. To strike a balance between who can support the ladies, who can support the gentlemen. If it is only one person, the bias will be there. You know, in school leadership, there is always what we call favoritism. You'll find that this one is the favorite prefect, this one is the what, you understand. So, to balance all those things, it is important that we have policies that include all genders and everyone really. And for financing, can we have partnerships? Me at the university, because I carried out, I made a major project, I could say, and funny enough, the budget was not even half of what our planned budget was. The estimated budget and the available budget were 2 different things, but I was only able to execute properly because I partnered with people. So student leaders should always think about partnerships. Do not look at just the budget they have given you. Look outside the box. There are these companies that want to support young leaders. There are those NGOs that please go and write to them and make sure you have external funding. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for you to conclude an event or a project and you have debts. It is wrong. It's going to affect you, even your mental health, your self-esteem at school is going to reduce because you have debts that you accumulated over an event you did not benefit from personally. So please, student leadership should should embrace partnerships. Peer resistance and jealousy, as I said, is something that would come up. Now, the resistance usually doesn't start from just your friends. Even from the people you won in elections, you may you may have that resistance. They will start forming book cabinets there.
Shadow cabinet.
Shadow cabinets. What? So make sure the election is as transparent as possible.
Yeah.
As transparent as possible. Count the votes publicly. Much as it may not be ideal for well-structured student leadership, but make sure it is as transparent as you can make it, so that you you mitigate the issues of resistance and the channels of communication. The students should not just hear from the prefects. Let the prefects also hear from the students, because the two-way feedback will enable you, the student leaders, to learn the things you do not know about the people you're serving. Because if you do not open the channel for you to learn about them, your approaches are going to be inapplicable to the current problems. Imagine you have a problem like delayed or resistance towards preparations for mass or service, anything like that. You do not know what exactly the challenge of the students, the general student body is. Why don't they want to participate in this thing? So open the channel of communication. Do not just allow you to impose or to communicate to them. Open the channel for them to also say that, you know what, you want us to carry furniture at this time, but we prefer carrying it in the morning. You want us to clean, but me as the head boy of the blue class, I say we should be cleaning the dormitory. So allow them to give you their views, so that you also tailor the solutions in accordance to the problem at hand.
Okay.
Balancing academics and leadership. Time management is usually the issue there. Students may be trained on how to prioritize what, when, where, but if they do not learn the art of distributing their time properly, they are not going to prioritize. You will find that somebody, even in the time they are not carrying out any student body event or activity, they are in the bed sleeping. But they spent a whole day carrying out student body activities. So you're going to, these people are not going to have the art to balance or to manage their time, and it is going to affect their academics. A person that has learned time management will know that in the morning I am attending my class, morning preps I am doing nothing, very late in the night when people are attending extensions I am discussing with a colleague, or I am reading my books that I didn't read in the morning or in the afternoon. So they should learn how to balance their time, how to manage.
Okay. So away from that, I want us to look at the impact of a school culture. I want us to look at the impact of school leadership onto school culture. The way people behave in a certain society. We know that certain schools in Uganda are regarded as schools that groom gentlemen. Certain schools in Uganda are regarded as schools that groom ladies. So I want us to look at the relationship that exists between student leadership and school culture.
One, student leadership is very vital in grooming or in maintaining a school culture. I'll borrow the words from a very strong lady I know, the head teacher of Mount St. Henry's, Mchala Nakalembe Teofista. She said, show me a powerful students' body or students' leadership team, and I show you a good school. I am sure or certain when you go to schools like Namidyango, like Namugongo, like Trinity College,
Chitovu,
like all those big schools, like Chitende and Nagalama, all those big schools, you will not find a loose student leadership system. Student leadership focuses on building values in students that they carry outside the society. if the students have been groomed and the prefects have emphasized that we do not walk out of the dormitory on sandals, on bathing slippers, that is part of what is going to nurture how those learners behave outside the school. It's going to become part of the school culture that everyone walks with a water bottle, everyone walks with an umbrella, because it is convenient. Why are you running when the rain falls but you can have an umbrella standby? Why are you thirsty and looking for a random dirty cup but you can have a water bottle standby? So that is part of the culture that may come along with a focused student leadership body. Issues like indiscipline, riots, absenteeism, those all go back to how the student leadership has affected the students, positively or negatively. Because if people can escape and no one notices or no one does nothing about the escapism, if people can not come to school for a week, a month, and no one does anything about it, it means the students' leadership is weak, and therefore those cultures or such values are the acceptable values in that community. We have one of the other things that come along with a good students' leadership is the spirit of belonging and community. People that belong to the old students association of Namiryango, Namgongo, Mount St. Henry's, all those places, there is a way, there are events they attend and they will bring them together because it is a culture that has been groomed within them. There are leagues they will attend. It becomes a community, a society. It stops from just being something. For example, at Mount St. Henry's, we have what we call the Elders Council. The Elders Council has all the head prefects and chief judges that have been in Mount St. Henry's. So we sit together and have something to drink, to eat, and share and laugh. Remember those bad days when we used to come out of the prefecture with dusty suits and then show up? Very, very funny moments. So it becomes society, it becomes family, it becomes a source of belonging.
Oh. Yeah. So you have a group of students in a certain school, let's say school A. They have just been elected into office, or perhaps some are currently running office. How do they try to inculcate this kind of culture in a school?
Okay. One, understand the culture you found in the school. If you understand what culture was found in the school you entered, you will know whether to keep it or let it die. Anything you choose to keep, find ways of maintaining it. You know, sustainability is something people overlook before they start anything. But before you start anything, you have to first look at sustainability. How is it going to be 5 years later? If you do not look at sustainability of certain things, you're going to start things that are good, but then after your leadership and the next leadership, they are going to die out. Why we used to nurture, personally, before I left Mount St. Henry's, I nurtured the next 2-3 chief judges or head prefects. I knew who they are supposed to be because there is something that I wanted them to carry on. That is why Magoba is a very celebrated person. I am sorry if it is against privacy, but he is a very celebrated leader because I saw him and he saw what I did and I knew he could carry it on. I had to inculcate it in him and also make it work. So anything you want to keep, make sure you provide a sustainability plan. Who is going to carry it on when I am gone? That is why families have, or people write wills and put successors in those wills. They know who is going to carry on the family legacy when I am gone.
So away from that, I want us to also explore the relationship between futures outside school and then school leadership. How does leadership in school shape a student's life post their time in school?
When we look at the current statistics, the different leaders that we are seeing these days, most of them, much as they may not mention, they have a background of students' leadership. back in their former schools. You find someone has been appointed general secretary, university secretary, what, in whichever office, you will realize that back then in the 19s, they were leaders somewhere. Student leadership does not come alone if you are intentional about it. It comes with confidence. It comes with connections. It comes with a lot of things that are going to force you to enable, not even just forcing you, but to enable you to carry on the leadership out of the gates of that school. Most of the people that I serve with at the University Guild have been leaders before. Any person that has been a leader in high school and has been a leader at university, if given the opportunity, they are going to be a leader at the sub-county level. Given the opportunity, they are going to be a leader at district level. And if they are lucky enough, they can be leaders at the national level. These skills you get in leadership are lifelong. You go with them after years. They do not die. No, they do not. So you will, if you were an integral leader growing up, you will still be a leader of integrity, regardless of the situation, regardless of the place. So that is the value of student leadership. The future for student leaders is brighter in the leadership world. Anyone that is just falling into the leadership as a newcomer will not perform as well as a person that was a student leader back then in high school. Yeah.
So I also want us to look at how, people are social animals. In any society where people are existent, it is inevitable to have maybe social problems, and these social problems at times we may have the people that are in that society as the root causes, but then we may have other social issues that come along living in certain environments. So I want you to help me understand how students can actually champion campaigns against social problems that afflict students in certain learning institutions.
One, these days we are very lucky we have social media.
But in school it is inaccessible.
It is accessible in some schools. How do we get to know those events you participate in at Mount? Social media. So with the access of social media, dramatize some of these things. You have a drama club, you have a writers club, you have a debaters club. Have debates on these things and post them on the TikToks, on the YouTubes, on the whatever, so that people know that these are challenges and start working on solving them. Otherwise, the more we keep silent, we are living with these challenges. People are not going to change anything as long as it is not talked about. So make sure it is portrayed as a challenge existing, and someone out there will find a solution about it. Advocacy. Make sure you are an advocate of a better society. Student leadership or student leaders have a higher leverage on the societies they have influence on. They can influence how people behave, how people perceive things, how people understand things. So please advocate for better societies. Teach people how to behave better, how to do things better, how to forgive better, how to accept others better. Also, collaborate. One, we have our teachers. Some of those teachers are experts, much as they are not the student's patron, the prefect's patron, but they know something about leadership. So talk to them about these things that are pressing the society, and then they give you solutions you can pass on to your leaders. Leading by example. If you realize that we have an issue in school like people not respecting each other, now you, the students leaders, should make sure within your office or within your team no one is disrespectful. If you want to talk abstinence or sexual perversion, please make sure none of the members on the leadership team is doing anything in that direction. Because you cannot preach what you do not practice. People are going to continue to fight.
Taking a lead by example.
Exactly. So you must lead by example if you want to succeed in some of those issues. Also, as I mentioned earlier, create safe spaces. If you see these violent people, what? Not just judge them, always punishing them, what? No. Put a time where you just have a casual discussion with these people. What is going on? Bring them on board. Don't sideline them because they are misbehaving. What? No. Make sure you create an inclusive, a safe space for these people. Much as society perceives them as impossible, hard, what, they are violent, but at least one act of kindness to them may change, however, whichever they behave. Yeah.
So we've seen very many student leaders come into office, and at times you can compare them to maybe a candle that has been lit. During that time, they are too active. They chase out the darkness. But then with time, as their term comes to an end and their term now expires, actually that candle is now going to burn out. And there is going to be nothing left of them in these schools that they've been leaders for. So my question is that how can student leaders outlive that and have impacts onto their schools that are lasting beyond their time of service?
First of all, I will go back to what I said earlier. Have a vision in mind. Hey, have a vision as you start your leadership. Anything you start without having an end in mind will not end well. Yeah. So if you want to create sustainable impact, what do you consider impact as a person? Is it planting trees? Make sure you have seen the land you want to plant trees by the end of your leadership tenure. See the land, know the cost of the trees, start working on that. So that by the time you're handing over 200 trees to be planted here by this person. If it is possible, please go and do groundbreaking that very day and plant up at least 10. You understand?
Yeah.
So back then, I don't know, this culture started dying out slowly, but we used to have what we call legacies back then. So each class, as they are exiting, they used to leave something in the school. And that was something that used to force students to leave a lasting impact.
Yeah.
So does it still happen?
Yeah, I've actually seen it in my school. I've seen clocks, I've seen very many things, and they have donated by this class, prefectorial body or this.
Yeah. So such things can be a way for you to create lasting impact. The other way for you to create lasting impact is mentoring juniors. You are in senior 6, for example, and you know a very good leader in senior 1. Why are you leaving them to do life alone? Have them by your side every day. Let them learn how you do things. Let them learn how you handle challenges. Let them learn how you do different things, so that is something they pass on year after year. They have 6 years, you have 1 year to go. But in those 6 years, they are going to leave impact in another person. I went back to school sometime, and someone I don't know about. He was a new student, and he was like, "Hi, I want to be like you." How did they know they wanted to be like me when I was not in school?
Legacy.
Because there was a legacy that was left with another person who passed it on to this person. So you need to make sure you are mentoring someone. Do not be a successful leader and go. No. Lead as you mentor another person to be better than you, not even just like you. Yeah, that is how you create lasting impact. Advocate for change. There are some things that will be against your liking. You look at them, they are happening in a certain way, but you don't like them. Make sure they are changed in your tenure of service. It will be remembered that during the time of so and so, he did this, and from then it did not happen the other way around. It happened like this. We used to have an issue of the prefecture being mobile. Every week. Today it is here, tomorrow it was there. Tomorrow it was there, the other day it was not there. The other day it was closed for a year. I was like, no, that's not going to happen. Can we have a separate room and it is for the prefecture. I think since then, there has always been a functional open prefecture.
Yeah.
Till date, people may not remember, but I am the one who forced. There is a teacher that came to get us out of the prefecture. I was like, no, that's not going to happen. We are not getting out. They didn't cane me and the team. Every time they wanted to have literature classes, it was the prefecture. They want to have what? They want to distribute uniforms, the prefecture. It was like the play area of everyone. But it is a safe place for us who want to come and have our meetings conveniently. I am tired from a very long day. I want to rest. I want to close the room and have nothing else going on. Please, why are you inconveniencing me? And since then, I think it has been a very good development. Lastly, I will share here is building alumni networks. Why I have been very, very strict and very influential in making sure our association is functional is because I know this is where we are going to keep track. A school that has 2,000 students, you may barely track everyone's whereabouts if your alumni network is not strong. We will have those successful leaders that will go into charcoal selling 2 months after senior 6, but they are talented people. They can do better in life. They can utilize scholarships. They can utilize opportunities out there. They can be good teachers, but because they do not know about these opportunities, because we do not have a functional alumni network, they're not going to to utilize these things. They're not going to take over these opportunities. So if we are supposed to make sure our impact continues in people's lives, let us have an alumni network that is functional, so that when we know person A got 20 points but has not been admitted to university, can we get them something to do? Person so and so does this and they are very successful in business. Can we recommend them? Can we do such a thing to make sure we assist these people? That is when our impact in the people's lives that we led is going to continue being passed on to others.
So speaking about the tangible things, maybe clocks, maybe what, a fountain, maybe a poster, something like that. So there is something that is intangible, that is a legacy. So now I am speaking, I think, on behalf of the leaders. Now, if a leader is out there watching, and maybe the question that they do have right now is that, how do I cultivate a very good legacy that I have gone out of school, but this continues to be known maybe by, this is what students that I've studied with know me by? Yeah.
I don't get your question quite clearly. What?
Like in regards
the intangible legacy or the tangible legacy? I missed something maybe.
Oh, that one was not part of the question.
No, rephrase the question.
Oh, good. So beyond what we've spoken about, I think there are two subjects we've spoken of: the tangible things. As a certain class leaves behind a clock, they leave behind books, they leave behind a signpost, and then I think there is a leader that is maybe getting into office, a leader that is thinking of taking over office, and they are asking, I am going into leadership, but then I want people to remember me by a certain thing. That is what I think can be their legacy. They are taking on leadership. How do you think they can cultivate something that is very good, that people can reflect on and maybe want to associate with them?
Okay. In my opinion, as I said, start with the end in mind. Because if you want to leave a legacy, you know which legacy you want to leave. If Kavumba wants to be known for someone who was a timekeeper, someone who always focused on the welfare of the learners and all that, you know what to do to achieve that. So start with the end in mind and stay focused on the goal. The only challenge we face as leaders is we get excited after some time. You're going to get a suit after 2 weeks and you're going to start feeling like the world is yours. You start tapping things you are not supposed to touch. You're here, you're there, you're abusing teachers, you're doing this, you're doing that. You're going to do a lot of things that are going to derail you from the goal you had in the beginning. Stay focused on the goal. I led for 3 years and my goal was no. I was always focused on that. I told my team, we are supposed to achieve this and this and this. The school program should never be inconvenienced, even by 1 hour. I remember only 2 days when the school program was inconvenienced. One, we had a way of the cross service mass, and we had handed over, but the new prefects had not entered the system. So that day they didn't wake up, we also didn't wake up, so the system was like this. And the head teacher was very, very angry about it. But then I explained to her, I'm like, I handed over my file yesterday, so I'm not supposed to be in charge. So I think that was one of the times. Then the other time we failed to make sure furniture is conducted. So the head teacher showed up at midnight and people had not taken furniture for mass. It was very dangerous, very dangerous. We even went back to our office and started crying. Everyone didn't know how that happened. But it was the only time I failed to execute on my role. The rest of the days, when they said the event starts at 2, by 2 it was starting, regardless. And I think it also came about collaboration with the administration. The head teacher supported me so much. The deputy head teacher supported me. There is nothing I asked for and I did not receive. The directors supported me. So I think when you're a good leader, actually one of the benefits you get is support. I was supported, I can't deny. Very much supported. Yeah.
So when we are in school, very many things go on. Very many things happen. So I want us to look at the angle of maybe repercussions of maybe indiscipline. We have students being expelled, not one, not two, many students. So how does it relate with actually the student leadership that is existent in that school? Is it an indicator of failure or something?
You may not have a grip on everyone's discipline, especially in our institutions of 2,000, 3,000 students.
Yeah.
You cannot have a grip of everyone's behavior. But it is also important that you are accountable. We used to have meetings about so and so was expelled, so and so was what, but at least one thing I remember, no one was expelled and I was questioned because it was justifiable that they were expelled. The expulsions that you may not easily account for. The best leader may not be that person who gets the most number of students expelled, but the one that works on keeping those people in school. One of the things I did mostly is making sure the most feared students, discipline-wise, then sat UNEB at the institution, at the center. They were not even taken to Center X. That is one of the things they remember me for, even to date. When they meet me, they are very grateful because I fought to the last dot. I met their parents. I was very young meanwhile, but they used to call them in head teachers meetings, and I used to go and say, okay, just this term, can we do this? I used to negotiate with a head teacher on their discipline, and I try to make sure I hold them accountable, that you are here because of me, my guy, please behave. If you're not willing to behave, you're going to exit. But expelling students does not show failure of the prefectorate, but continuous indiscipline may show failure. If today's students did not show up for mass in time, the next time they do not show up, it may show that you are doing nothing about the failures that you saw last week. So we must just work on becoming better versions of the leaders we are every other day.
So I think we have been taken up by time, but then I think my last question. The last question will be that, what is your message to a student that is serving as a leader in school, and maybe anyone that is looking forward to taking the mantle of leadership in any learning institution?
One, for people that want to take on leadership is taken by stepping up boldly. When I was picking nomination forms for one of my very old roles in Chisibi Mapera, I picked the form and the patron said, "You are so young." I was like, can we meet at what? What is that called? Screening. He was like, very fine. I picked the form, I filled it. And at screening, he saw the version of me he had never seen. My contender was a senior 5, I was a senior 3. And if anyone ever put electoral pressure, it was me. I showed up. So it is always a bold step. Show up. When I was contesting for my head prefect role, still it was the same. I was contesting with people that have been in this school from senior 1 to senior 4, very popular, very known, very influential, and I was like, I'm taking it. The patron still asked me the same. I hope it is not excitement. Are you sure? I was like, please watch me. And when I showed up for that screening, there is a lady, I don't want to mention her name. She came to me after the screening and said, you are the magistrate. Because I was contesting for magistrate then. I was just promoted to the next position after some time. And she told me, you are the magistrate. Because I had done my best. I showed up. So please take it on boldly. And for the ones that have office, it is not about that title you hold. Serve the people, serve your electorate, serve your appointees, hold your values in high regard. If it is integrity, if it is honesty, if it is anything you hold in high esteem, please be it. Prove it every time. If it is service delivery, make sure every time you're given a task, you serve beyond reasonable doubt, so that people know about your leadership. One thing, that when that one shows up to execute, he doesn't want nonsense. If that one says he's not taking the bribe, he's not taking the bribe. And that is how we are going to have the best leadership. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for honoring our invitation. We are very excited and extremely humbled having you today. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucham Shadik, and this is the Next Generation. For today, we end here.